we are in this illusion that certain people's lives have been perfected already.
And I think that's something that a lot of folks struggle with is they have a passion and they're starting to gain their skills and propensities. When we see this with Gen Z, we saw it with millennials too. I think it's exacerbated with this current generation. Young people are struggling to figure out their purpose, their sense of identity even.
How were you able to discover your passion?
That to really lead a life on purpose, it's not arriving as fast as you can to some destination. It is the everyday practice. A house with a white picket fence and a job and 2.5 kids and a car and a dog named Rex or whatever it is. Lack of confidence. And that can be really scary.
It can.
It can lead to anxiety, worry, and concern. What am I even doing in college? And then that led to larger existential questions.
I want to ask this final question, right? When everything is said and done, how do you want to be remembered? According to the UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, if a soldier is sent to the battleground without a weapon, it is considered an offense. I believe in the same vein that when we're being created by our Creator, He gave us something very genuine and something very specific, which is the purpose for which we are on this earth. Today, I have the privilege to speak to someone who is an expert in that field, someone who knows more and has done a lot of research in the purpose field. Her name is Dr. Therese Lund. She's the Associate Vice Provost for Purposeful Pathways and Professor of Psychology at Wingate University. In 2018, she won an award as the Spivey Instructorship Award, which she received for her contribution and volunteer job that she did. Also, she is a mother. So today I have the privilege to speak to her. And one thing that I need to say is that even with regards to what I'm doing right now, it is because of the impact that she made that helped me to get to this point to start living the purpose for which I am on this earth. So without wasting my time, welcome, Dr. Lund.
Thank you, God bless, for such a warm introduction. I am so thrilled to be here. I think that's the best introduction I've ever received.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So thrilled to be here with you today.
Good to see you. Good to see you. It's an honor to sit with you. And as I was saying, the work that you've done has really impacted me to start to live the life that I'm living right now. And it's a privilege to sit across the same table with you. I don't take it for granted.
Thank you.
To begin with, I usually start with the background of our guests, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a developmental psychologist by training. I'm fascinated by young people, and I really kind of fell into psychology. I actually didn't major in psychology until the end of my sophomore year. I tried on different majors. I thought I wanted to do what my parents wanted me to do, which was become a lawyer. And I realized that was not a good fit for me. And I became very rudderless and adrift and trying to figure out, well, what am I even doing in college? And then that led to larger existential questions. Well, what am I doing, period? What am I doing with this life? And so I really struggled at discernment, and I was fortunate enough to have a professor who saw something in me that I didn't see myself. She saw a propensity, an inclination towards psychological research. And so she and I started working together after she offered me an internship with her, and I became her lab assistant. I started running her research lab when I was an undergrad at Miami of Ohio, and I fell in love with that. And I figured, okay, I love this. I'm endlessly fascinated, but I don't know what to do with it.
Oh.
And I think that's something that a lot of folks struggle with is they have a passion and they're starting to gain their skills and propensities, but they don't know how to use them. Like what pathway, what job, what road should I travel down? And so in the process of wayfinding, I ended up in graduate school, and the graduate program I was in, I actually applied to go to that program because I read a book by a faculty person who taught it, and I was just so taken by her writing and ended up working with her. Her name is Sunia Luthar. She was at Teachers College of Columbia, University in New York. And then there I felt another inflection point.
Mm.
I didn't want to be a clinician.
Yeah.
I didn't think that's where my skills and gifts were, but I still was fascinated by psychology. And I ended up applying to Boston College and working underneath some amazing faculty there. Most of my research was focused on things that went wrong in development, though. The anxiety, the stress, the depression that young people often encounter.
Yeah.
And so I was so fascinated with those, but starting to become less and less satisfied with the quest for knowledge and research focused on maladjustment and all the things that go wrong. And while I was becoming less satisfied, I also intellectually knew that that was just not the whole story of young people.
Yeah.
And so I started doing research with a faculty person who was really interested in what contributes to positive growth. Rather than talking about young people as in danger or dangerous, what are the characteristics that help them contribute to others? And so we started doing research, and what we found in a study of adolescent girls, and again, adolescent girls are going through a lot.
Yeah.
What we found in that study was there was this like secret ingredient that helped them resist the pressures that teenagers often experience, that helped them cope with the demands and pressures of their parents and the external quest for success. And it was having a sense of purpose. That when they knew their why, when they were tapped into their values, their strengths, their gifts, that they could withstand any pressures or adversity that came their way, but also contribute to others. And so for me, that's where a light bulb went off, is that this was my purpose, to do this work, to generate scholarship that helps us better understand not the problems of young people, but their potential.
Wow.
And so I started pursuing this scholarship when I came to Wingate University and have been building a program of research with my colleagues at Boston College, where we try to figure out how do we create these opportunities for young people to meaningfully pause and reflect and really discern who they are, what they're meant to do, and then create pathways for them to express that purposeful aspiration. And so I get to do that in a lot of different ways now with my new role as Associate Vice Provost. But I will say my background in developmental psychology has helped me really understand that purpose is a journey, that it's unfolding, that we think about it as this destination that we will one day arrive at. But really it's an orientation that guides us through life.
Wow. That's very beautiful. And that's really, really packed. I will go into the nitty-gritty details.
Sure.
But even with the way you are talking right now, and as the first time that I encountered you talking to you, I can see the passion behind the words that you are putting forth, right? How were you able to discover your passion in that sense, even though you had some guidance from faculty members, from people who were close to you and all that? How were you able to, reach within to fetch from this treasure that was within you, that I have this passion to help young people find their purposeful pathways?
Yes, that's a great question. So first, it really helped me to have folks tell me things about myself. So often we're just not good authors of our own story. We don't really know what our strengths are. We don't know what our skills are. And I think for a lot of folks, they're fascinated by so many things. And so it's hard to really figure out, where's that perfect alignment between what I'm good at and what I really love?
Yeah.
And what do I really love? And so often I would ask mentors to give me feedback on, what do you notice about me? Like, where are the places where I'm really shining and where are places where I need to grow? And then it required a lot of self-reflection about what are the things that I like that I just can't get enough of? And what are the subjects or the papers or the research that I could read for hours that I lose myself in? Where are the places where there's wicked problems that you can't really solve yet I keep returning to them?
Yeah.
And so for me, it was a long process of doing just inventory. I'm like, where are my true passions? And not all of, I have passions outside of the research that I do. As you mentioned, I'm a mother. I have a robust family life. I'm obsessed with football. Unfortunately, the Packers are not having a great season, but I have a lot of passions outside of it. But what makes the work that I do purposeful is it's an alignment of my passions, my strengths, and contribution. I realize that I have these gifts and these things that I care about that I am uniquely suited to do. Awesome. And so, again, I think it really helps having mentors around you who can help identify those things. Yeah. But it takes a lot of self-reflection and like, what do you truly care about? What do you really love? And what are the things that you just cannot get enough of?
Wow. That's very powerful. That feedback loop that you set up by communicating and contacting mentors and people around you is a very, very good one that will help you discover who you are.
Yes.
You talked about the fact that you have a chop wood, carry water mentality, right?
Yes.
Can you explain that kind of mentality and how has that helped you to become who you are today?
Yes. So I think often when we think about what makes for a good life or a successful life, we have this vision of everything perfect, right? And whatever that might be for you, it might be a house with a white picket fence and a job and 2.5 kids and a car and a dog named Rex or whatever it is. You have this construction of what it looks like. And then you also simultaneously see around you folks who feel like they're ahead of the game. Why do they have everything figured out? Why are they, have so many followers? Why did they have every answer to the question of who they're going to be and what they're going to do to impact the world already? How do they already have a job lined up? Wow. And you start looking around and you're like, do they know the answers to the questions? And I don't even know the questions I should be asking. And so you start looking around and you think, there's this thing I want. And everyone's getting there faster than me. Yeah. What's wrong with me? And what you realize is that's an illusion. That to really lead a life on purpose, it's not arriving as fast as you can to some destination. It is the everyday practice of your values and your strengths. And that progress and purpose is incremental. Wow. It is built cumulatively, bit by bit. And I think that's really helpful when you're looking around you wondering, am I behind in this race? You need to run your own race. Yeah. And make purpose a practice you integrate every day. How are you doing things that are aligned with what you care about and your greatest and highest good? Yeah. How are you engaging with the mundane? Because not everything we do is cup filling and super meaningful. I think grading is meaningful, but some of my colleagues will think, oh gosh, I got to grade papers on Canvas, or I'm doing something that feels like busy work. But you can find a meaning in that. And the more you view it as every day I chop wood, carry water, even if I've figured out my North Star, my compass, I have reached enlightenment. I know what I'm meant to do on this earth. Yeah. But just because you've reached that doesn't preclude you from every day engaging in it. Sure. And so every day I try to engage in it and view it as progress. Yeah. Not perfection, but progress. Okay. And understand that while folks may be running a race that looks much faster than mine, that I'm truly running my own race that I engage with every day. Awesome. Wow. That's very powerful. And I want to circle back at something that you mentioned, right? The fact that we are in this illusion, most young people, I assume, that we are in this illusion that certain people's lives have been perfected already. They are running the race very swiftly and gaining the momentum every day. And you tend to ask yourself this question that you said, that what is wrong with me? Yes. I think a lot of young people ask these questions. They do. Which I see it this way, that there is nothing wrong with you, honestly. How should we face this kind of, questioning, that internal monologue that we have with our inner being, that what is wrong with me? How can we overcome that kind of doubt and things that come in our minds? How do we overcome it? So I think there's a couple of ways we overcome it. One, It's not just about the person kind of thinking differently or adopting a different mindset. The world around us owes us messaging that normalizes that progress is not linear, that we all don't get to the finish line fast. And if we think we do, and we think perfection exists, that veneer is likely to crumble soon. And so society around us, educators, mentors owe us a conversation around the idea that perfection is not something that is really attainable, and that constructions of success are unique and personalized to individuals.
Yeah.
And so part of it is a society issue. And we need to normalize that feeling adrift and feeling rudderless is a common part of the human condition.
Part of us. Yeah.
And it's especially heightened in adolescence and emerging adulthood when you're 18 to 25. And during that time is often when you also are very much focused on yourself, and not in a way that's narcissistic, but in a way that you're trying to really figure out who you are.
Who you are, yeah.
And when you're in your head, sometimes it feels like a lonely place. But what you just mentioned, which is so true, is that it's actually not very lonely. Most young people feel that way. We just don't talk about it like that. That feeling adrift and not having all the answers to the questions, or not even knowing what the questions are, is often a universal experience. And so the more that we normalize that and the more folks embrace that, I think the better. I think another piece is that we have to tolerate uncertainty. Certainty and knowing all the answers is often prized, but true purpose comes from embracing uncertainty, not viewing setbacks or detours as problems that we have to solve, but rather parts of our journey that are unfolding. And so we need to embrace uncertainty as growth, not as something to be solved very quickly. And it's in that space, that often kind of messy space, where we can see the most growth within ourselves.
That's true. That's so true. Yeah. As you are in that kind of mess that I classify as a break moment, there are a lot of things that life teach you. It teaches you like a lot of things that you wouldn't have been offered the privilege to receive from anywhere else. So it's actually a privilege, but usually because of the pain and the emotions that we feel at that point, we kind of don't prize that moment, but actually they are treasures. I said all of that to ask this question, that when you are at your inflection point or your break moment where you were also thinking of being a clinician or doing other things, but you still wanted to press forward for something else, what were some emotions that you felt at that point in your life? And how were you able to keep the momentum to focus on that which you are supposed to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. At those moments, those kind of turning points, the break moments, I think there's a lot of uncertainty that people feel and lack of confidence. And that can be really scary.
It can.
It can lead to anxiety, worry, and concern, and just essentially feeling like I'm not good enough and I can't figure it out. And I think that's an experience that a lot of young people have, that turning points are failures and are problems, not opportunities to grow, like you just noted, that they are privileges for us, that they make the journey. They're not a detour to the journey. They make it for us. And so for me, the thing that I've realized is that I have to use those moments as data and times of reflection. Why am I feeling anxious? Why am I feeling uncertain about this? And distance myself a little bit from that emotion. It's hard to, but really think about, if I'm feeling anxious, is that because I'm anxious because I'm uncomfortable with something new? Or because there's misalignment between where I'm at and the values and strengths that I have? And so use that as an inflection point for really digging in deeper about yourself. That is a gift that gives you a moment to pause and reflect and really think about alignment. You may never know exactly the right direction, but if you look inward, you'll find an orientation that guides your way. And so I would say it's really important to not push away those powerful emotions, but harness them. Think about what they're telling you. Think about if they're telling you messages about, is my purpose being fulfilled right now? Yeah. Am I doing things that feel incongruent with who I am? And that's why I'm feeling tension. Yeah. Am I not living to my greatest and highest good? Are my strengths not being appreciated? And what's the right path for me? I think discomfort can be a really powerful tool for growth.
Honestly.
And we should lean into it.
Yeah.
And really use that as a moment to reflect and realign so that we are on a path that feels more akin and aligned with our goals and aspirations.
Wow. That's one thing that I've learned about our brain movements, right? That they carry very heavy clues.
Yes.
To our purposes, the reason why we are on this earth, right? So as you are going through all those emotions, these clues are kind of like showing consistently, coming over and over again through the emotions that you are feeling. So if you are able to harness them, as you said, that will be a very powerful one.
Yes.
According to a recent assessment, right? Mm-hmm. Over 58% of young people around the world feel that they don't have a sense of meaning or purpose, right? You being in this position that you have been privileged to do the work that you do. How can young people, discover more about their purpose? Because it's a journey, right? Yeah. As you said. And it's not like a destination that you must reach.
Yeah.
But because of how our Gen Z world is pushing us all into like a final destination that we all have to get something, we tend to look apart from the journey, right? So what do you think? Let's first talk about the cause. What do you think is the main cause of not having meaning among young people? And what's the effect of that? And then you share with us how young people can, focus or align with that journey to fulfill the purpose for which they are on this earth.
It's a great question. So when we see this with Gen Z, we saw it with millennials too. I think it's exacerbated with this current generation. Young people are struggling to figure out their purpose, their sense of identity even. And there are a myriad of causes, but one of the things that I go back to is I don't blame them for not knowing.
Yeah.
I think about what environment are we providing that is a fertile context for them to discern it? Because we know developmentally young people are primed to start thinking about these larger questions about themselves and the world. But for many of them, they're not orienting those questions and that energy towards discerning their purpose.
Yeah.
So why is that? And one of my thoughts is, and we're investigating this in our research, is that we just haven't taught young people to engage in that, nor have we provided the space to do so. If we think about, college and we think about why people go to college, what we emphasize in K through 12, it's often jobs, right?
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, it doesn't have to be a mutually exclusive conversation. We can have both. That young people can discern their purpose while also finding meaningful work that's family sustaining. Yeah. And so I think the orientation towards career and professionalism doesn't preclude purpose discernment. We just haven't made it part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And so there's something that we can be doing as educators starting in K through 12 to help young people better understand who they are, notice their strengths, explore big questions of the world.
Yeah.
Think about where are the places in the world that you feel like you want to contribute? What are causes? What are things that make you angry about the world? And what could you do about it? And so really engage young people in this process of wayfinding early on.
Yeah.
And then continue that. We also are sold this myth that once you get to college, you have your major and everything's figured out. And that is not helpful for young people. The majority of young people change their major at least once. And we also know that major doesn't lead to, a perfect career certainty. And that often major and career are separated. Yeah. People will learn and study about one thing and then find a career in a completely different pathway. Yeah. And so I think that there's an opportunity here to really engage with young people starting K through 12 and continuing through college around becoming. So really focusing on becoming who you are and telling your story. That will lead to all the career success we want young people to have.
Yeah.
But we haven't taught young people, nor have we invested a lot of energy into that.
Yeah.
And so I think that young people, while they are developmentally primed, there are lots of reasons why they're not engaging in it. One is we haven't taught them, but also I do think it's really hard to be a young person today. It's really hard.
It is.
When I often teach an adolescent psychology class, and we look at the rates of depression and anxiety among teens today, which are through the roof. Although recent evidence has shown they've declined a little bit. But when I talk to students about it, they say, well, yeah, of course they're like that, Dr. Lund. Look at the world. We just got through a global pandemic. There's global warming. There are these real existential threats. And so why should I care about anything? It feels like everything around me is on fire. Yeah. And so what I say to them is I say, I understand that. Point well taken. It is hard to really engage in deep, meaningful reflection when you feel like, what's it for? But I think it's an opportunity to double down.
Yeah.
That, yes, the world around you is essentially, in many cases, on fire. But that is an opportunity for you to think about, what firehouse can I bring?
Yeah.
How can I contribute my skills and gifts to ale what I see around me? That you have a part to play in contributing to the world that could disrupt some of the problems or corruption or things that are giving you these overwhelming feelings of dread and anxiety. And so I think it's very real that young people feel lost and adrift. And again, I don't blame them. But I also think that it's an opportunity for educators to really double down. Because we know the consequences are steep when we don't. When young people don't have purpose, they're much more likely to suffer from mental health issues. They're more likely to experience academic risks. So they're less likely to get good grades and stick with things. They also are less likely to have meaningful relationships. They feel isolated and disconnected from others. And so we know that the risks are too high to not do something. And a recent study by Harvard Graduate School of Education identified the top 3 stressors that emerging adults experience. The top 3 stressors were academic stress, financial stress, and lacking meaning and purpose. And so we know that, yes, there are challenges that face this generation, but the stakes are too high to not meet those challenges. And I think it requires everyone, and especially educators, to support young people and help them really engage with reflective intelligence, discerning those skills and gifts, and helping them see how they can play a role in the larger problems that plague the world.
Wow. You talked about the fact that you don't directly want to blame young people for the reason for them not fulfilling purpose or having this, being in this state of not finding meaning and fulfilling the purpose for which they're on this earth. I personally believe that one of the reasons why we stay not aligned is because of distractions, right? From social media to other unnecessary things. How can young people stay out of distraction to double down on the work that they need to do? As you talked about finding the right holes for turning off the fire or quenching the fire. How can they, strike a balance in their social life and the other things that they do so that they can eliminate certain distractions to focus on the things that really matter? Because truth be told, we know for sure that some of the things that we are pursuing at this point in our lives as young people will not matter in a few years. They are not going to be important anymore, right? So why don't we double down on the things that will be consequential, things that will be worthwhile in the years to come, so that when we are done, we are rounding up with our lives on this earth, we will have something tangible as an impact to hand to the next generation. So my question is, eliminating distraction, what are some tips that you give to young people?
That is a great question. So I think one thing that young people need to do is be honest in how they spend their time. That's something that I've had to be very honest about. Where am I giving my energy to? Where am I spending my time? And that's a good place to start. And I always say all facts are friendly. So if you look at how you spend your time and you see, oh gosh, my screen time was X amount of hours and I spend this amount of hours doing this. And you think to yourself, is this how I want to be remembered? Is this how I want people to think of me? Do an audit of how you spend your time and where you devote your energy and think about, is this aligned with who I am? If I was reduced down to this, would this describe me? And if you feel like the answer is no, then you have to start thinking about, where are the places I'm putting my time and energy? Yeah. And is this aligned with who I am? Now, that does involve time for play and rest and relaxation, right? Because we need to have restorative time to be able to do our greatest goods for others. Excellent. And so we're able to embrace that. And we should. We should have a community of folks who energize us, who support us, who champion us, and give us time to just rest and restore so that we can do the good work. Good work, yeah. And we should find folks around us who amplify our strengths. So when you think about how you spend your time, think about who you're spending your time with. Are these folks who amplify and support who I am and help me become the best version of me, whatever domain that's in, whether that's in school, whether that's on the practice field? Or are these folks who extinguish that light within me, who I feel like I can't be my authentic self with? And so I think that's one of the biggest things is, yes, invest in your time with your friends and community and activities that fill you up so that you can do the work that is meaningful. Because your purpose, while it's an orientation and may consume many facets of your life, you should have places in your life where you can play and rest and restore. But you need to really think about, how am I spending my time and energy, and who am I spending it with? Are there folks around me who amplify me? Are there folks who dampen me?
The first time I got in touch with some of the materials that you've worked on, I think I told you about this, which being the stuff from Purposeful, right?
Yes.
So the thing that stuck with me personally was the 4 P's of purpose, right? People, propensity, passion, and pro-social benefits, right? Can you share a little bit about all these 4 P's? Yes. And then how can we, embed these things in our lives as young people to achieve the things which are worthwhile?
Yes, great question. So I'm very proud of that 4 P's framework for purpose. In part because when you talk about purpose, sometimes it feels overwhelming to folks. Just like we talked about having a good answer to something. Yeah. When I talk to people about purpose, they feel like they have to have an answer that fits on a bumper sticker. And I've used this example before. Like, my purpose is to end world hunger or save the whales. And it's got to be something so lofty. And, all sacrificing. And what I say to them is, your purpose is personal. Yeah. It's about who you are and how you share your skills and gifts in ways to make an impact. And I think the 4 P's helps people break that down a little bit. It helps them think about their propensities. What am I truly good at? Where are my natural inclinations, my skills and strengths? It helps them think about their pro-social benefits they want to have. What's the impact I want to have on the world? How do I want to be remembered? The contribution I'll make. It helps them also think about their passions. What really lights me up? What excites me? Again, that's helped me think about my passions. What can I not get enough of? What are the things where I just kind of lose track of time? And then lastly, who are the people who've helped me along the way discern my purpose? Help me reflect back onto me my skills and my strengths. While your purpose is personal, it is not a solo endeavor. It is done in connection with others. And so when you're trying to think about, gosh, what's my purpose? What gives my life meaning? It's helpful to think about, where are my propensities and my skills and gifts? What are the things I truly love in this world? And what's the impact I want to have on others? And how have I had people in my life help me understand those things and illuminate those pathways? I think when you break it down like that, it doesn't feel as intimidating, right? And I should say this, one thing we are consistently thinking about in the lab and working on is a 5P of place, where we're thinking about how does your environment support your pursuit of purpose? What are the opportunities you need to seek out still in your environment? The experiences you have to help you get to that purpose.
Wow. I think the 5P is something that I personally resonate with. Right?
Yes.
There are certain environments, which includes the people in that environment,
absolutely,
that really will inhibit or limit the kind of impact that you can make. Absolutely, without a doubt. That if you have the right people in the right environment, it seems like this thing becomes something very easy and natural to you, right? You begin to do this thing and have this sense of joy and fulfillment every time you step on the stage to do that which you are supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I think the 5P is something that I really, really resonate with. If you are to, I know you talk to a lot of young people every now and then, but if you are to give one message to young people out there trying to find purpose, find meaning, and live a purposeful life, what would that message be?
The message would be, don't look outward, look inward.
Wow.
Don't look at what other folks are doing. Don't look at markers of success that other folks have set forth for you. Look inward.
Look inward.
Because it is not found, it is formed. And so rather than just chasing metrics of success that you think you should do, we are often governed by the shoulds, the coulds of the world. I should do this. I could do this. But look inward. What do I want to do? What can I contribute to this world? And where does my passion lead me? So don't look outward, look inward.
Yeah. Wow. Such a powerful message. It is not found, it is formed.
Yes.
Wow. That's a very good conversation that we've had so far, and I'm so enlightened. And I want to ask this final question, right? When everything is said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
It's a great question. You know, it's funny. I just had students in a class right before I came here ask and answer that question. And like a good teacher, I usually ask and answer the question I make students do. So I like to model, but I didn't this time. So I don't have a canned answer for you. But I would like to be remembered as someone who wholeheartedly helped other people find their why and lead lives of meaning and impact.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Lund. It's an honor to see the work that you are doing impact myself and to sit with you and have this conversation.